Hello, hello.
What's up, everybody? Sorry, my thing's like glitching out a little bit there. It's all good. Um, Welcome to Property Hunting with Privy. We are back. We were gone last week. I had to unfortunately get a bunch of stuff done. Amber was gone. She was out on a nice little cruise, and so I had to be all hands on deck. No pun intended. But I had to figure out a bunch of stuff, get all that fun stuff done. With that said, I appreciate you guys and your patience. Benson, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing
I
really
love it.
good. Busy as usual. A lot of stuff going on. You know, different projects. Got some
Sure.
real estate deals I'm working on as well, and um,
I love
yeah,
it. Any
been
like
busy.
flips, any wholesale Airbnbs? What do you got?
Got a wholesale deal. Well, I might keep it, but I'm gonna double close it.
Okay.
It needs. I'm just gonna go in and clean it up. I found another one that's just like a mess inside, and I've been having good luck with using that as leverage to
Sure.
negotiate and just being like, you can just leave all that crap and I'll take care of it. And then negotiating a better deal and then closing and cleaning it up and then basically selling it on the back end and not having to deal with assignments and that sort of stuff.
Sure.
But
Sure.
essentially, it's a wholesale deal.
Yeah, we were I don't know. It's it's usually like a rule of thumb within real estate. The minute you go on vacation, everything gets busier. Well, that's kind of what happened with Amber being gone. Well, busier on my side. We got like 9 deals last week. So I pulled off my record fastest close from getting the deal on Monday to closing it on Friday. So
Wow.
that was insane. Very good week. Team had a great week. We've got a couple closings this week. Have one today. Have another one popping up on Friday. So it's been good. We've got a lot of momentum. We have a lot of uptick in activity. I'm also excited to share with everybody that there's a lot of opportunity on the MLS. Now, you'll always hear people say, like, if the opportunity wins the best opportunity to get in real estate, it's yesterday. Wins the best opportunity next, it's today. It's the same kind of philosophy within MLS. You'll hear me say all the time, MLS, MLS, MLS. It's the best time. Well, I'm saying it again right now for a reason. It truly is the best time. Right now within the MLS, there's opportunity because there's motivated sellers. What we're actually seeing a big uptick in too is that there's a lot of creative finance deals going on the MLS. So if you're not currently doing MLS deals, you should be looking into them for not just the reason of wholesale, creative finance. Benson was just talking about possibly fixing and flipping and holding some properties. Well, guess what? You could do that off the MLS too. It's all relative, and that's why we love the software Privy, is because we can go out there and see from who's buying it, who's selling it, who the realtor is. It is all in the data, everything on market.
Absolutely.
We got MJ already asking some questions. What's up? What's up? Are you still buying in Tampa? Absolutely. We are loving the Tampa market, dude. Anything and everything in Tampa, please, please, please send it over our way. We have our Discord we revamped over the last week. Again, girlfriend being gone allows for a lot of free time for me to mess around and figure things out. So I figured out Discord, spent a lot of time learning how to code, connect things through Zapier. We have a funnel inside of our Discord where you could send deals. We will give you a same day offer, cash offer with non-refundable earnest money. So anything in Florida you come across, out of the 9 deals, like 5 of them last week were in Florida. So anything you come across out there in Tampa, I actually would even love it if today we spent some time in the Tampa market just to show people the opportunities that are out there in Florida. And part of it is that we're finding these deals on Privy. So if you guys have any deals out in Tampa, please, please, please send it over our way.
Awesome. Well, we can definitely look at Tampa. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So, for those of you who haven't seen Privy or are new to Privy, um, I do want to show you a couple things here, just so you can kind of get a sense of what it is we're looking at. Um, this right here is the Privy platform when you first log in. This is a coverage map, so you can kind of see where the data comes from. The blue is where we have live direct to MLS data feeds. And I don't want to skip over that because as often as I say it, people still have questions about what that really means. If you use another platform, a lot of great platforms out there that have data, Batch, PropStream, just to name a few, their quote unquote MLS data does not come from the MLS. It's aggregated. And you might be like, well, I don't care where it comes from. I just want it. Well, the thing is if it comes from the direct feed, the same feed that agents and appraisers use, then the quality of the data is higher. It happens more quickly. There's more information. You get photos. Um, it's real time. There's just many benefits to it. The other big thing is that we can overcome any of the obstacles that people have when they're trying to do comping in non-disclosure states. So non-disclosure states, that data, it does not get past that wall that the state creates if it's aggregated. So we solve that as well. So we have that in over 90 markets. The ones in the pink are the ones that are coming soon, and then where you see yellow and black is basically the same data that batch and PropStream would have. It comes either public records or it's third party MLS. It's aggregated, but the quality is not as good. So we've just basically decided we're going to up the game with the quality of the data, and we've done that in all the markets where you see the blue. Okay, so those are markets where you definitely want to see that you want to try to target if possible. Now you want that to also overlap with where we've got high investor activity. So right here at the top where you have this fix and flip button, if you click that, that shows us on the map where there's a lot of people doing deals. And in a business where everything is driven by comparables and we have to use after repair value to measure our deals, you don't want to look in areas where no one's flipping. So that does lead us to what we were just talking about, which is Tampa. So if we're in Florida down here, you can see that there's lots of areas where people are doing deals, but the highest volume of deals happens to be in the Tampa market. So the greater Tampa area.
Love it.
So Tampa, Clearwater, St. Petersburg. When you say Tampa, do you mean kind of like this general
Yeah,
area?
the surrounding areas.
Yeah.
So we're buying out there, and then we've got a buyer similar to what we teach here. We actually found them through Privy, where they are comfortable putting down non-refundable earnest money on deals with us. So if you send a deal over our way, that same day offer, whether it's from us, from an end buyer, we have enough connections in a market like this that we can give you a same day offer with non-refundable earnest money, so you feel that reassurance and, more importantly, the confidence to go in and negotiate. So obviously, I tell everybody, if you could find that buyer that you can go and run deals past before getting it even under contract, understand the risks with that. But in this case too, because this is one of my markets, we will never go around you in a deal. So you send us opportunities, you guys have questions on it, you need help comping it, absolutely send it over. We will help you out.
Very cool. So you guys, the way that you can find buyers, just like the one that Ryan was talking about, is by looking at the people who are attached with these transactions. So every one of these little clusters is representative of deals that have been done in that area. So if I were to click into this Tampa market or zoom in, these clusters break up, and then eventually it will show us the individual transactions. And every one of those transactions has a quote unquote buyer attached to it. Now, those are fix and flip buyers, right? Fix and flip buyers are great because we know that they are doing multiple deals. They're hungry for deals. You know, if they've got multiple crews, or if they're good at what they do, they might be flipping 20 properties a year, right? That's not unreasonable to say. So, um, this is just a list of all those properties that were flipped, right? And then if we open up any of these properties and dig into it, we actually can see the details of that transaction. And this is part of the benefit of Privy, is like learning what a darn deal is, because believe me, it probably isn't what you think it is. And that's a problem, because when you're out there searching for properties and you think, oh, I have to get a house at 40% of the ARV, thinking that's where the bar has been set, you're likely passing up on properties that would make you and a buyer money. And believe me, deals are hard to come by. So you want to really have your market research nailed down. You want to know who the players are, who are the agents that are actually working with investors. Ann Park of Coldwell Banker Realty is a investor-friendly agent. If we scroll down here to the public record section of this report, we call it a comparative market analysis. We can see who actually is doing the deals. So in this section right here where it says assessor's records, we can see this is SR City Real Estate LLC. So Ryan, I don't know if these guys are on your buyers list yet, but
I'd say that's exactly why I'm looking down right now. I'm making notes as we're going through this.
and that's the thing, you guys. This thing is fun to play with, but it's not a toy. like this thing can literally make you $1 million. We have users that have made $1 million from using Privy.
Mm-hmm.
You can too. This property right here, Ryan was just saying that, there's deals on the MLS. This house right here was purchased from the MLS. It was purchased back in January. Here's what it looked like before it was flipped. Here's what it looks like after the flip.
Mm-hmm.
And we can learn some of the numbers. So they bought this thing at 66% of the ARV
On
from
market.
the MLS,
On
on
market.
market deal. And
That's
there are
insane.
people out there that are banging their heads against the wall, cold calling and skip tracing and knocking on doors and sending out, mailing campaigns and doing ringless voicemail and text blasts and just running out of money.
Yep.
When you could find a deal like 66%, and maybe you found this property first. Maybe you could find it just before these guys get it. You could lock it up, send it to these guys. They'll buy it
Well, and
66%
Benson,
because they
what
just did it.
that gray price down below is what they paid for it, correct?
They paid
So
232 for it.
232 is what they paid. They sold it at 350. Granted, we don't know how much money they put into renovation. We don't know all those costs, but they have $118,000 of what is the gross spread that it says from the price they bought it at versus what they sold it at. So if we can understand that they made $118,000 gross, most likely, now we can say that we have a buyer that is willing to buy properties around 66% of ARV. If you guys follow us, if you guys have watched these videos before, we're not trying to just beat the point down, but we want to make sure you understand what we are saying when we talk about finding the buyer first is exactly this. What I like to do, I go and I find Ann. I reach out to Ann and I say, hey, Ann, I just wanted to reach out and let you know that your property on Ida Street, beautiful. Is that an investor client of yours? Were you the buyer? Just trying to get to the bottom of the situation. Oh, awesome. It was your client. Beautiful. Oh, it was you. Even better. I'm reaching out because I'm trying to reverse engineer this process. I'm trying to be efficient. I'm getting a lot of property sent over my way, and I honestly don't know what to do with them. Not every property makes sense for me to go and buy it. So, with that said, there's a lot of times that I feel like it might be best for me to wholesale it. It might be best for me to pass the deal along and JV it with another person. It's another way of saying wholesale. You're able to go and set this as an expectation. Why? Because the hardest part of being an investor is to find a deal. So, if you're providing value through the sense of bringing more opportunities and deals, what I want to make sure you understand about what we're doing here long term, you're bringing business to their buyer if they're not already the buyer. You're bringing value to the realtor because when the property's flipped, she obviously is the one that lists the properties. So that means more marketing, more exposure, more potential clients and business. I always say the hardest part of being an agent is to find a client. She now has an infinite number of deals coming through that cost her nothing other than just keeping that relationship with this person. So you're now adding even more value. You can go in and understand what their buy box is. Again, finding a buyer that can go in and say with confidence, I will pay for this property. That's all you need to get started. You have that buyer. Now it's reverse engineering, going and finding the deals. The best part is this buyer is not going to be a pain because we already know they're looking on market. You just have to beat them to it. But this property, Benson, scroll down. When was this on? How many days on market? 100?
35 days
Okay.
from when they listed it to when it's sold, but they bought it back in January. 107 days of construction time, permitting, that sort of thing.
Sure.
And then the total time between these two,
It
142
100.
days.
So they know what they're doing. They're in and out. There's a good chance she might be the realtor or the investor. She might be part of the team. It might be her own flip. We don't know until we call. Benson, I mean, I'm open to calling. It doesn't make a difference to me if you wanted to go that route, show the people how we roll, or if we want to jump to the next property and look at on-market deals. Doesn't make a difference to me.
Yeah, I think this one is a great example. I mean, it just happened to be, one of the more recent flips, right?
Let's do it.
It's a really good example of everything that we're talking about. Like what Ryan's saying, he didn't just make it up. Like it's all based on the data. It's all based on his experience. So if you think, oh my God, there's no deals on MLS, well, you're wrong. It's actually more than half of every house that's flipped out there, not even including people who are acquiring properties for rentals, come from the MLS. So if you're ignoring MLS as a source of your deal flow, you're passing up on more than half the stuff that's already out there. And we already know how hard it is to get a deal. Why make it harder on yourself? Make it easier. Go to where the low hanging fruit are. Whenever people are sending out marketing, what are they always saying? Oh, I'm looking for motivated sellers. Well, who's more motivated to sell their house than somebody who puts it on the MLS? Not
Mm-hmm.
that huge list of absentee owners or probates or
You're gonna run out of money.
foreclosures.
That's what people don't talk about. And trust me, it's not that I'm gonna say that you're gonna go fail, because there's always the one person that's gonna end up saying, "Oh, screw you, Ryan, I'm gonna go do it," and they do it. But if you understand the success rate in real estate's already low enough, don't put more variables that don't need to be there, meaning marketing costs. Don't go and break the bank to go and try to be the best investor direct to seller when you don't even know how to be the best investor because you haven't wholesaled the deal before. I would tell you it's actually more valuable. This is a bold take. It's more valuable to go and work on your logos, setting up your LLCs, and making sure everything you know about the situation in the deal is 100% you got it, rather than going and spending money on data. I don't think going anything direct to seller makes sense when you're first starting. If you're here watching this, whether it's live or the replay, you have not gotten your first deal, this is the only place I would recommend you starting. And I'm not saying that to try to steer people in one way or the other. I am probably the only guy that teaches something that will tell you, I'm okay if our strategy is a stepping stone. I'm okay if this is the thing that got your foot in the door, because most of the people are getting their freaking ass kicked and they're in and out of the industry in 6 months or less. It's talked about all the time to have 6 months, 12 months of reserve saved up, but nobody actually talks about how serious that is. If you are trying to get your first deal and you have money to spend, Privy is a great resource. It is less than $300 a month in your business that you will have spent in one software. It's less than $200 a month. Come on. You obviously get bulk discount if you pay upfront for the full year, but understand the value is in consistency, but it's more importantly in staying in business. That's the value of getting started. When you go in, stop stacking the odds against yourself just because you want to be comparing yourself to the person you saw on Instagram. I promise you, even when people post on Instagram direct to seller, they might be flashing 50, 60, 70, 80K checks. First off, we can do that too in the MLS. But just on a serious note, no one talks about how much it costed to get that 50, 60, 70K check. No one talks about how minimum 10% is going to be given to an acquisition person. That's 7,000 if it's a 70K check. That's 63 left over. If it costs you 10 to 15K, I have friends right now that are paying between $7,000 to $15,000 per deal closed. Per deal. $15,000 for marketing, $7,000 for an acquisition person. That's 22. Well, that obviously, yes, you're still profitable 40K. You've got systems and processes. You probably have VAs. You have a bunch of other marketing channels. By the time it's all said and done, if you're running a 20 to 25% profit margin, you're doing phenomenal. You know what our profit margins are in this strategy? 70 to 90%. That's unheard of in most businesses. So understand the value behind on market, working with agents. This is the best strategy out there. And I'm going to show you to start. This is one of my markets, so we're going to work it. But this girl just sold a property. There's a lot to unpack. Who is Anne? Who are her clients? What value can I provide to her? Don't have it backwards. What value can I provide to her? Not what value can she provide to me? Not what buyers can she provide? Not what deals can she send? What value am I about to bring to Anne? So if you haven't seen me do a call before, hopefully she answers, but it's going to be great. I'll tell you guys that there's a lot of opportunity right now in the MLS and by JVing deals. There's even a shout out to people that I'm working with out in Arizona. There's teams out here that we partner with, that we work with, where I'm going in trying to help them solve problems. A lot of times people are like, well, Ryan, aren't you scared that these realtors are just going to go around you and go do it on their own? Never. Never. And guess what? If they don't ever send me a deal again, it's not because they learned how to do too much. It's because I stopped providing enough value. That's what you need to do with every relationship that you form, whether it's a realtor that has a buyer, a realtor that has a deal, or it's just a realtor you're trying to form a relationship with. Every single opportunity that I know right now where the big bucks are made is in relationships. Relationships that are best formed are on the MLS. Get off my soapbox by making a couple calls.
Let's talk to Anne.
Hello.
Hey, is this Anne?
Yes.
Hey, Anne, I'm calling about a property I think you just sold. Was it Ida Street?
Yes.
Awesome. Was that your flip or an investor client? Sorry, I'm just scrolling through the photos. It looks beautiful.
It's my clients.
Awesome. So I'll just keep it super quick. I'm sure you're super busy. We are in the area too. I'm doing a lot of deals in Tampa, fix and flip, and then also just working with other investors. I'm not sure if your client's looking to find another property or not, but we have a couple opportunities that have just been sent over to us that if you guys were open to it, I would love to send it over.
Well, you can email them to me. I'll look it over.
For sure. Are you, if you don't mind me asking, are you okay if we were to wholesale these deals? A lot of the ones that were sent to us are either from some other agents that we've worked with in the past, or it's been from another wholesaler.
So it's not off the market? Is it in MLS?
So,
it's an MLS.
Say it again. I'm sorry, I cut out at the end.
Is it in MLS or is this like off the MLS properties?
Both. So the properties that are under contract on the MLS, they would have under contract. We wouldn't just send you something without that. But most of them are off market.
Off market. Well, I don't know. I mean, when you say wholesale, they have to buy the whole thing. Is that what you're saying?
So they would buy the property, and then essentially the wholesale side is like selling the contract. So we would get under a contract. Obviously, the most important thing is not even our fee. It's that the numbers make sense for the buyer. As long as the buyer can make sense of it, whether they're flipping it, holding it, whatever.
I know what you're about. It's like a third party. No, they will not be interested.
Gotcha. Why is that, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, because there's no, like, it's, you guys buy it and and then you're making you profit, the investor or whoever's buying. Why would my client have to pay that? And, they want to make it. I'm out there looking.
Sure. Well, and I get that. I guess part of the thing that we could offer as value in a situation like this where you and I could work together is that I'm also a licensed agent in Arizona. I don't believe in calling and saying, hey, give me commission. I believe in providing value. So if the investor client's trying to flip houses, I flip houses out here too. I mean, we're flipping houses in Florida. That's why we're moving to that market, even though we're based in Arizona. A lot of the stuff at the end of the day that I always say is that most investors struggle with finding deals. So if a deal is brought to them where they can make money, if I found the house for $1 and I brought it to you at 100,000, but it's worth 600,000, what's the problem with me making the 99,000? And if it's the fact that we just made the 99,000, then that's not typically a partnership.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, you can send it to me. You have my email
address,
annpark.net.
Sure.
ANNEPARK.net.
Okay, you got it. Is there anything specific that they don't want to see? That way I just don't waste your time.
Well, I mean, they're interested in fixing it up and flipping. I mean, the value has to be there. Otherwise.
Sure. Yep. You got it. Well, let me take a look. And as soon as I get something, I'm just going to send it over. And then if you need anything else, this is my cell.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. So one of the key factors I teach in agent investors is patience and education. Patience is that if you see a 25-year-old that's withholding everything that I really want to say because I'm on a live camera and because I'm trying to be respectful to another agent, I hope that tells you guys what my thought process is. The patience is take a deep breath. Why would my client pay that? Great question. Why would you pay me for bringing an opportunity where your client can make money and they can have you listed on the back end? We cleared up that she's not the investor, obviously. Because if I were to go directly to the buyer, which, by the way, I'm very, very, very likely able to go and do, I choose to go to the agent because she probably has multiple investors. In this case, she obviously doesn't have multiple investor clients because she doesn't understand the investor world. So I said the hardest part of being an investor is to find a deal. So if you're concerned about a deal being brought to you and you're worried about me making money, yeah, you guys notice how she fumbled on her own words. She's like, well, they're making a profit. Exactly. So what's the problem with us winning? That wouldn't be a partnership. It's okay.
Yeah. And the numbers you gave were such a no-brainer. Like she cannot say no to that scenario you just said, where they're getting it for $100,000 and it's worth $6. Like she can't be like, well, no, that wouldn't work. Like she has to say yes to that, and so there's no argument for this not to work except for her own ego.
For sure, and that's exactly what it was. And so just to make sure you guys understand the point, ego was actually, I think, slight bit there, but it definitely was there because she wanted her to win. And that's why I jumped right to the conclusion. I'm like, look, I'm a licensed agent. I could very much call you and say, well, you're going to give me a commission on the deal, every deal we do, because I'm entitled to a referral fee for bringing a client to you. So that was one. I chose not to say that. I mean, I'm not going to go and ask you for a commission, but if you can understand that we're going to split the deals, put aside the fact that you're just uneducated in wholesaling, and that is what it is. She obviously too said she didn't want to see anything on market. So I made sure she knew it would be under contract. That's not a buyer you bring to a property to and expect them to give you a buy number before you lock it up. That's a buyer that you say, oh, shoot, she would go around me in a transaction because she doesn't even know any better. And also she thinks that that's what she should be doing. She doesn't know wholesale etiquette. There is very, very gray area of wholesale etiquette. So we're trying to bridge the gap and show that if it's actually done the right way, she just bought a deal off the MLS for them. You know why she's probably not saying anything? Who do you think got the commission? It's probably her. So just understand that the value that she's getting is what most agents love to say. It's that I'm not going to make up, I'm going to discount the listing because I'm going to make up for it on the buy. She's going to get the buy side commission on most of the deals that she helps them buy off the MLS. She'll list it for a super discounted price. It's good for marketing, good for exposure, good for just getting more business. But with that said, she just didn't know what was on the other line of the phone, which was us trying to call and provide value to her. It's all good. Super nice. We handled it well. Again, patience and education. We teach agent investors patience, deep breath, not go off on the agent, try to educate. Why did I say what I said? I was trying to tell her what my process was. I was breaking it down in a way like Benson just said. I love that you pointed it out. You can't say no. If she said no to that, I would have called the buyer on the live for all of you. I would have been like, all right, yeah, no, sounds good. Hang up. Buyer, by the way, I have a realtor that could probably do it for X, Y, and Z, flat fee. Like that's how the business works. So if you don't understand that the value is what you need to be providing, the value that I know when I call buyer's agents or seller's agents that represent the buyer, I can go in and say, hey, Ann, you guys just sold this flip on 16? They sold this property 5 days ago. So if their investor doesn't have another project rolling right now, what are they doing? They're scrambling right now to find the next opportunity.
Yep. So that's why this timeliness of the data is so powerful, you guys, because it's putting you in a situation where that agent is motivated. They're motivated to work with you. And so
also, if you guys are out in Phoenix, huge shout out to Taylor. 3 of the last 10 flips we have bought in Phoenix were on the MLS at some point 30, 60 days prior to us buying them. Guys,
yeah,
MLS. And by the way, if you're in Phoenix, Taylor is like the man. They are buying probably like 30, 40 flips a year. So make sure you guys are collaborating.
Crazy.
Dude.
Well, let's see if we can find one, right? So somebody here, APH Insights is asking about what is it, how do we write an offer, right? And there's different strategies here. You can go to the listing agent, you can use your own agent. The thing is like you don't really have to fill it out. Like they're going to use the state approved contract. Every state has its own, and if you're not familiar with that contract, just go in and Google, state approved contract for Florida, and it's going to show the Department of Real Estate. All those are available online to review. Know what's in there, but your agent's going to do it for you. Whether it's the listing agent or it's going to be your buyer's agent, they're going to put all the major things in. You just have to know the major deal points. So price, the closing time, 30 days is pretty standard. Your inspection period, 10 days is pretty standard. The earnest money deposit deadline, 3 days is pretty standard. How much earnest money you're going to put down? Usually it's about 1%. That's negotiable though. Actually, everything's negotiable. And then, the terms of are you going to pay cash or is it going to be financed? And if there's a finance, there's a couple other things, but you probably don't need to worry about that. If you know those 5 or 6 major points, that's all you have to do is send them those and they'll write it up for you.
Let the realtors do the legwork. And that's the craziest thing is that similar to what we just talked about with this girl, I'm not even asking her to go in and do any legwork. I was going to bring her the opportunities. So just know that the value with the realtor is typically opportunity. The realtor's value is expertise. So if they can come in and show you, this is the paperwork, this is how it's done, they have a fiduciary to you as the client. So they need to go in there and best represent you. They can break things down. They have to have your best interests in mind. So when you have another realtor representing you for contracts and stuff, if you don't know something, ask. Just make sure you understand the basics of wholesaling. We're not advising to go get properties under contract without having buyers lined up. That's why most of these videos, we start with finding buyers first. You have a buyer to go and find properties for, then it's easier and it gives you, again, confidence to go and write offers. You could bring it to these buyers and get feedback and you learn. Make sure you have inspection periods. Make sure your earnest money is refundable. There needs to be contingencies just like there would be if it's going like a traditional sale. What I love explaining to people that do a lot of direct to seller marketing, our strategy benefit. Most direct to seller, aside from spending all the money in marketing, off market deals are typically $5,000 non-refundable earnest money, no inspection period, as is, where is. It doesn't matter if there's a bomb under the house. Okay. So like that's the kind of stuff that they're used to direct to seller. On market, agents are used to closing costs being split down the middle. They're used to inspection periods. They're used to earnest money being refundable for every reason possible out there, including their client went and bought a car in the middle of the transaction and it fell apart. They are used to every kind of wrench and curve and freaking thing thrown in their face possible that they have to know how to pivot. They have to know how to problem solve. So when you go in and start saying, yeah, you know what, I'll put down 1% of the earnest money. I just want, instead of a 10-day inspection, 7. Realtors are like, oh, they're legit. And you're like, yeah, that's right. I'm an investor. My Instagram bio says it. And so now you're going out there and you're like, all right, I got my inspection period. My earnest money is refundable. Closing costs are still split. So now if you're going to go and ask the end buyer to pay it, it's just an added benefit going back to the seller saying, hey, I got you. Yeah. I'm going to pay for all closing costs. Understand that, like, that's the value in this strategy. Is there's so much opportunity. There's so much stuff that, yes, everything's negotiable, but there's so many things that the realtors, while they're over here trying to fight battles like whatever Ann deals with on a daily basis, that's not really a good realtor. Sorry, Ann, and cancel me, whatever. That's not what this is about. She's going to be out of the industry, if she's even in it, in 2 years or less. And that's just off the fact that she might be a really good traditional agent, but as an investor, she just fumbled. That was bad. Yeah. That was bad. And that was nothing more than actually happiness on my side, because I'm glad to show you guys that not every conversation is rainbow and butterflies. That right there was not acceptable from a realtor standpoint that's trying to succeed with diversification of strategies in the industry. You're just not going to last. So what we're trying to do, again, is break down the process. Make sure you understand what's important. The offers, terms, all of that, realtors got your back. They should, at least. And if you don't feel they do, make sure you have someone around that could check your work, whether it's a transaction coordinator, another friend in wholesaling, a realtor. This is the whole collaboration side we talk about. This is what I'm trying to push and change the narrative for, is that I'm sick and tired of these games being played of collaboration, but then behind everything, we're like competing against each other. Stop competing and start working together. The guy I just brought up on screen is one of my buyers. Why would I bring up one of my buyers like, oh my gosh, guys, bring him deals? Wouldn't I lose business? No, because what happens is he's going to not buy that deal and he's going to bring it to me, and then I help him sell it. So you got paid, he got paid, I got paid, everybody wins. That's the mentality we all need to have.
Hey, there's one other really big benefit for doing on-market deals that people don't talk about often enough, and people who do off-market know this, is that it is a lot of work to get the seller to show up at closing. The sellers love to get cold feet. As soon as you get that property under contract, they're going to ghost you. As soon as you get that property under contract, they're going to be talking to their uncle, the person across the street, their parents, and everyone's going to tell them that they made a mistake and that they have to get out of that deal. Agents are potentially calling them and telling them that they made a mistake. So they're going to do their best to not show up at closing. And it's going to be, and one of the things that your biggest job is if you're doing off-market deals, is just hand-holding, making them feel comfortable for the whole transaction, constant communication, like making sure their family is all bought into the whole transaction, and then getting them to show up at closing. That's one of the biggest reasons why deals fall apart. With an on-market deal, you don't have to worry about that at all. The seller is showing up at closing. They need to close, because every minute they don't close, they're potentially losing money, and the agent won't get paid unless they get their seller to show up at closing. So on market, it's such a smooth transaction. The title company handles everything. The agent's making sure that all of the levers are pushed and the contract deadlines are all managed properly. They're making sure the seller shows up. Oh God, it's so smooth. It's like butter. It's so simple.
Absolutely.
In the end, for the new people here, all of those things I just talked about are just layers and layers of difficulty that you're putting on yourself when you're new and you're starting off with off market. Ryan very clearly explained all the costs involved and difficulty in just getting the deal. After you get under contract, the difficulty just goes up exponentially. So again,
you sell the deal
on market.
It's crazy. Yep. The amount of times we actually have realtors that are inside of our like ecosystem that are going out there and they're actually finding a crazy amount of success because their traditional business blows up with this strategy. If you're a licensed agent and you're not doing this, I don't like putting a dollar amount on it. If you're a high producing team, it's very easy for me to tell you like that you're losing out on a lot of money. If you're an individual agent, you're trying to get started, just understand, again, tools on the tool belt. The thing that's a beautiful part about our strategy is, aside from the lack of, having to go and spend an arm and a leg in marketing, you can go out there and you could scale it to whatever you want. The average realtor does between 8, 9, 10 deals a year. The average investor was like 7. If they are a full-time investor that is like a very high producer, the statistic was like 27 to 30 deals. in return of like millions of dollars in revenue, ranges of $30 to $50 million in revenue. That's a lot of volume. But if you also put it in perspective that the average is about 7 to 10 between investor and agent per year, what do you think most agents are trying to think every single day? I want one deal. I want one deal. That's it. It's not this one, it's the next one. Where's my next paycheck coming from? As a jaded, seasoned agent, it's typically not even exciting getting a commission check anymore. The fulfillment comes from helping the client, but the next thing on their mind is where's the next check? Their life is a system and a routine. So if you're a realtor and I just spoke to you and that was like, holy shit, how does he know what I'm thinking? I was there. Understand too that this right here can add an extra 10 deals a year to your bottom line. This strategy right here can add an extra 6 figures a year to your bottom line. I make a good amount of money as a realtor. And I don't say that just to be like, aha, I make money as a realtor. I say that because I want you guys to understand the money I'm making as a realtor is without having to go and be a realtor. I'm not showing houses. I am now doing a little bit of this. I'm going out there and I'm working the side of things with listings and helping people buy homes that are friends and family. But my main focus is being an investor. I'm a problem solver. I find solutions. I come in and I say, here's a cash offer. Here's a creative finance deal. I can list it for you. Here's what I would do if I was in your shoes. So I go through all of these things that I just want to make sure that you guys know are clear expectations being set, especially for those that are realtors. You need to be doing this strategy. We are trying to go through every single episode here. And if you haven't watched them all, make sure to go back and watch the replays. Our biggest value is that we're showing you from start to finish what the process is. We've spent a lot of time today talking about buyers, and I really hope it's driving home the point that you guys need to know the buyer side of things is what makes the wholesale possible. Benson said that the fun gets started once you get under contract. Yeah, it's stressful. Where most wholesalers fail is they get one property under contract, but they haven't been building a buyer's list or they didn't have a solid buyer's list. So they're either relying on a disposition arm or they're running around like a chicken with its head cut off trying to sell a deal because they're so focused on making money because they have something that they turned off acquisitions. This is a strategy that if you focus on building a buyer's list first, you get a few realtors, a few buyers under your belt, they should give you the confidence to go and find possible deals. Once you get those deals, you bring them back to the buyers. Obviously, yes, there's a little bit of like, I was going to be like spice. Like that's what I was going to say. It's like spice down there going on, right? We got the paperwork, we've got the conversations, we've got what the flow of it all is. That's the beauty of the relationships is if you have the buyer, you have the person that does the wholesaling. Even if you don't know, aside from the fact that the realtors will do the contracts for you, Benson, you have a community of people where they will gladly help people close deals, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I have a community where people will gladly help you close deals. I see a lot of comments right now. How do I talk about ARV? Do you have a script? Do you have this? Do you have that? We have a thing now Patrick Conley launched inside of our agent investors community where every morning, he's in there making live calls to agents. He's going and doing the strategy. He's showing you guys what he does to find success in the Nashville market while living in Alabama. Huge shout out to Patrick. But again, the answers are out there. Stop worrying about it all being perfect before you take action. It needs to be perfectly imperfect. It needs to be perfectly imperfect action failing forward. That's what this is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Somebody was just asking about landlord buyers or people who are trying to find buy and hold landlords, absentee owners. Those are all basically the same name for the same type of people.
Yep.
But you can do that in Privy just by going into the filter. And then when you come down to the quick filters at the bottom here, this absentee owner filter, that'll show you who the landlords are. But you want to make sure if you, and anything I'm showing you guys, you can actually export any of these lists. Like we could export all of these buyers into a list by clicking the download button. It'll put it into a CSV file. You could do the same thing if you wanted to filter for absentee owners. You can export those as well. That's how simple it is to find buy and hold buyers or landlord buyers is this button right here.
Mm-hmm.
But make sure again you're looking for those people in this high investor activity area because this is where you're going to have the data. All of these comps is what you use to prove ARV to the deals you're going to find in this area, right? If you're in Hays, Kansas, where no one's flipping, you won't have these transactions. You won't have the buyers. You don't have the ingredients to put together a deal. And so this is why one of the reasons why you target these areas is that you get the data to be able to leverage to prove value, right? And most people don't think about that often enough down the line. Like you got to think about, okay, if I find a deal in Hayes, Kansas? Is there data going to be there for me to be able to prove after repair value on that house if I find one? Well, the answer is no. There's also not going to be anybody that wants to buy it. There's no buyers there. So this is where you want to look. Now, we can find properties simply with Privy that we could write offers on, and it's right here at the top. We have this button that says find similar active deals. This is actually patent pending. If you click that button, Privy goes in and it pulls comps on all the houses in that area, and it's going to show us houses that we can buy right now. The default filter in that button is 75%, but we saw those two properties that we found. One was at 66, one was at 60%. So let's lower this to below 60. So if we found something at 60%, those two transactions that we looked at, both of the buyers on those homes would be interested in this house if we can find something at 60, right? Because we know they both, one bought at 62, one bought at 66. We can also set any sort of other filters in here. So let's say we talked to that buyer that Ann represented, and they said, you know what, we don't want to go over, $300,000
exactly
on the purchase price. Well, we can build that buy box for any buyer right in here. Certain number of bedrooms, bathrooms. Maybe a buyer tells us they don't want to buy anything that's older than 1950 because they don't want to deal with all the deferred maintenance that comes along with that. You can set that all right here in the filter. And then what you can do is you can actually save that filter, and our system will go out there and monitor your area and constantly look for deals for you, so that while you're at your 9-to-5 job or while you're at the kids' soccer game, like, you don't have to be constantly in the software doing the work yourself. It's like having a team of virtual assistants do the heavy lifting for you and then only send you the properties that look like their deals based off the comps. So here's an example of a property. Right out of the gates, it looks like it needs a bunch of work, right? Like, this house is rough.
Move in ready.
This is turnkey.
Newly renovated.
Yes. So if we scroll down here to the section where the comps are at, we're going to have properties that say this house is a deal. And again, because we looked in a high investor activity area, we have properties that were flipped that we can use as comps. So there's no better way to prove to a buyer that a house is worth what you say it's worth by showing them flipped comps, right? If we were in Hayes, Kansas, we wouldn't have these houses here as comparables. So this one was purchased for $126, sold for $245. This one was purchased for $203, sold for $257. And then we can open up that property to see the details on it. How did they renovate this house? Like, where's the bar been set? And we can use this as a model for what a deal looks like. And we can actually come down here and see who flipped it and a new potential buyer. And we know that this house matches M&M's Equity Trust LLC buy box because it's actually a comp of the house that we're looking at. One other way to draw the line between a deal and a buyer is by looking at the houses that were actually flipped.
So Benson, I think it's worth it too to show people, because I know you got a hard stop here at 5 till. Let's call this deal, but let's break down the numbers for everybody too, just because you guys can see it's listed 5 days ago. I see questions about looking at comps and stuff and underwriting. I see Isaac also said underwrote that property early this morning. Beautiful. Compare and contrast. Tell me what you think of my renovation numbers. 960 square feet. If I were to run that, I'm going to say high side. Let's just go $60 a square foot. That's 57.6. Obviously, I factor in usually an additional $5K just for miscellaneous. If we round that up even to 60, let's just call it 65,000. 245 ARV times by 0.93 is 227,850. Minus $65,000 in renovation, we're at 162,850. If 10% of ARV is what most people want to make, 245, that's 24,500. Even if I were to round that up to 30,000, I'm being very conservative. Minus by $30,000 of profit puts you at 132,850. Minus by whatever your fee is. A lot of times people are like, oh, I need to go make X amount of dollars. I'm going to go make this much. I hope you do. But now that we're going to get serious, I want to make sure you understand that your value is what you're providing in a service. So your value is how low can you get it. If the value can be that you get this deal at 125, congratulations. If you have a buyer at 132, that's a $7,000 assignment. If you can go get this property at 100,000 and you have a buyer at 132, that's a $32,000 assignment. You want to increase your fee, increase your value, increase the steepness of the deal. Stop worrying about finding the best buyer or finding the buyer that's going to be the one that buys this deal. Yes, there's a lot of deals that I do sell where it's from a dispo arm to a specific buyer, or I have somebody that I know that is already very specific on this one kind of property. But if you understand that 132,850 is what most buyers would pay for this, they're not that far off on that list price. Granted, I might be off on some renovation costs, but what I'm going to advise for anybody to go and do is get this property, try at least 115 to 120. You probably have some wiggle room up to 125, but that just means a smaller fee. So if you can understand that this is at 139,900 and I'm telling you 125 is your cap, that's 14,000. I'm sorry, but last week we got a deal 6 figures off of list price. The week before that, we got like 155K off of list price. There was a guy in our community that got 166K, 67K, whatever it was, off of list price this last week. So 14,000, that's nothing. Let's call this agent. Let's see how the conversation goes. It's 5 days on market. We got to figure out, is there going to be is there multiple offers on this deal? Is there some kind of situation? Isaac says, spot on, great. That's awesome. It means that we're good on our numbers. Let's go ahead and call this agent. Who is it? We've got Deborah. Deborah with the deals.
Deborah with the deals.
We're going to call Deborah. I don't feel like I've ever met a young person named Deborah.
Me either. It's one of those names that's slowly going away.
Deborah, so may I help you?
Hey, Deborah. My name is Ryan. I'm an investor calling about a property I think that you have listed on Palafox.
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Is that one still available?
Yes, it is.
Beautiful. I'm out of state. I'm sure you could tell by my area code. I'm in Arizona, but I buy properties out in Florida, and I'm looking at it, just trying to run some numbers on it. It looks like it's a pretty good deal. Obviously, condition of the property needs some love. But I was just wondering if you guys are, one, able to represent me in the transaction because I'm not there, and two, if there's anything from the photos that I can't see that I should know about, like big ticket item.
Yes, I can represent you, but you need to be aware of the fact that there are some liens against the property from the city of Tampa for violations that they have done.
Violations, all right.
Yeah, primarily there are 2 apartments underneath the main unit.
Okay.
And there's one in the garage, all unpermitted, not permitted.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then the electrical panel is a disaster, so we're not turning on the electricity.
Okay.
And the water has not been turned on either.
Okay. I really appreciate all that information. If you don't mind me asking, then, is the seller like motivated to sell? What's kind of their goal with this? Are they looking for a faster close?
Their goal is to get within reason to the price they're asking.
Sure.
And their goal is to, because they're also considering building themselves.
Okay. In Florida or somewhere else?
No, they bought it through a tax deed.
Okay.
And it took 4.5 months to get the person out of there. So now it's time to get it sold, or else build it themselves. And they're looking at both options right now.
And so when you say build themselves, you mean this property?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So he's not living. Nobody's
living there.
Okay, that makes sense. I'd have to rerun my numbers, but ballpark, just to be very transparent, this is kind of like how I like to do business. I think probably it's around like 230-ish, maybe 240 when it's all said and done. I originally ran my numbers, I think maybe a little too low just based on some of the stuff that you'd mentioned to me, but I was initially estimating around like 60, 65K. I think it's probably going to be closer pushing to like six figures, 100,000. That's obviously just being a little conservative and making sure that there's always room just for that oops. From my experience in flipping, there's always going to be that cost, but with some of those items that you mentioned, I obviously just have to account for that. I don't think that my offer would be too far off from where it initially was. My initial offer was kind of in that 115, 120 range. I would have to, again, rerun my numbers, but I'm probably just a little bit below 100,000. That might also be too low, and I understand. So I just like to be very transparent and kind of over communicate so that way you understand where I'm coming from as well.
Yes, and we've gotten some offers much higher than that. So
Gotcha. And honestly, I mean, I can't fault you guys for that. If you guys have offers that are higher than that, the one thing that I would just say, not that I ever want to just like kind of set wrong expectations, but I want to make sure that just for you and the seller's sake, that you guys are going to do what's in their best interest. A lot of people out there that are going to come in with some higher offers, assuming that they're also cash, they might be trying to go in and wholesale. So there's just a lot of that going around right now where I'm getting beat out by other offers that are higher than mine, but then they end up going and wasting the seller's time because they can't sell it because it's not a deal at the price they have it at. Granted, I've been wrong plenty of times, and there obviously is cases where people come in and they purchase it and they keep it. But regardless of whatever their story is, I would just advise, if I can even put some insight in there, that if you come across somebody that's offering cash that's higher, the numbers that I run are kind of universal. We flip in multiple markets, and the only thing that ever changes is how much we want to make, which is typically 10% of whatever we can sell it for. And then the renovation cost just is what it is. So I would just maybe recommend a shortened inspection period. So if they do back out, I can hopefully be second in line. Or if anything too, maybe have them put down non-refundable earnest money.
Well, the bottom line is we're not doing an inspection period
for
that reason.
Yep. That's smart.
And that's got a lot of grief, but that's the case.
Sure. Okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense to me. I completely understand. I just want to make sure I'm doing my part and obviously being transparent, and then hopefully showing you that I'm interested in purchasing some deals. So if it's not this one, it's the next. That's kind of how my mentality works. And hopefully if you find another opportunity or anything like that, or God forbid something happens to this property where they can't perform, feel free to save my number and reach out, and I would love to get some deals done with you.
All right. Sounds
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks, Deborah. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Jason caught it. Gotta bring my energy back up, guys. I got to go walk a mile or something because felt like I was talking to my grandparents. They've got offers. So what did I do? I did something on here that I haven't showed you guys before. You can go in there and say, hey, just letting you know, I have gotten beat out by people that are offering higher. Well, if they're not going to take anything below 100, you have something that was awesome or a higher price, a better, whatever you want to say, by all means possible, go for it. I just want you to know my numbers are what they are. Most people that are going to offer higher, unless they're going to live in it themselves, they are not truly going to be able to pay higher than me. So we were talking about the number breakdown. We went through it all, and I forget who it was, said that my numbers were pretty spot on. Isaac, I appreciate that. It's not. I was wrong, dude. There's liens on the property. There's things that are not permitted. They don't have water. They don't have electric. Those are big ticket items. I have to assume there's something foundational. There's something with the roof. There's something with an AC. You're not going to do an inspection period. Good luck getting one of those offers that's going to come in too high. Most of the wholesalers that are going to come in, they're not going to put in non-refundable earnest money. They're not going to sign a contract without an inspection period. We just talked about how those are some of the benefits to this strategy. So why would I go against the grain? Welcome to behind the scenes. Curtain is pulled back. Welcome to the world of wholesaling and real estate investing, where if wholesalers are not doing anything regulated and they're wasting time, not of mine, but of the sellers, that's the problem. All I'm doing is putting down a couple of traps. Whoever's going to come in that's going to get this property that isn't me, I need to make sure that the seller and the agent are aware that if they drop the ball, it's me. If it's not this deal, it's the next, it's me. And anything that could go wrong, this is what I would do to protect you and the seller. Because I'm willing to put up non-refundable earnest money. I'd have to rerun my numbers before giving her that number. But by all means possible, I said slightly below 100. Run the numbers with me one last time. 245 times by 0.93. 227,850 minus $100,000 in renovation. We're at 127,850 minus $30,000 profit. We're at 97,850 minus your fee. You want to make $5K, it's $92,000 offer. You want to make $2,500, it's a $95K offer. I wouldn't go and over leverage anything with non-refundable earnest money, no inspection period for a $2,000 potential assignment. But what I would recommend is if you can go 90 to 92,000, the thing that sets me up beautifully is that because I educated her on the process and what my numbers are, hopefully she finds me credible. And when she comes back, what do you think my offer is going to be? Deborah, that offer was from Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's now Saturday. No, my offer is 89. But I'm putting up non-refundable earnest money. I don't care about an inspection period.
Yep.
There you guys go.
That was awesome, man. You I'd never seen that approach with you before, but it's perfect. I would also ask too, like, are you accepting any backup offers? Like,
for sure.
Get that offer in there so that she doesn't have to call you. Like, the trigger's there.
I don't love it. I feel like it's always hit and miss because it's like, I get the concept and I think it's a great strategy, but the success rate is not there. So what I found is that typically what I have to do is I have to tell her to come back to me, which she won't. But if I can go in there and I could set a reminder and I could put this property in my watch list, when I go in and I keep an eye on this property, I'm watching it go pending. I'm watching it stay active. I'm watching it back on market. One of those three things is going to trigger what I could actually go and do and where my place would be.
Yep. I got to jump off, buddy.
For sure. Well,
you guys
Benson, I appreciate
continue
you
for a couple more, but thanks for having me.
Of course. I'll see you next week.
Awesome.
Cool,
Bye, everyone. Have a great rest of the week.
Later, Benson. All right, guys, I'll wrap it up here in just a minute. Just want to make sure you guys understand that point. Hopefully the number breakdown, everything all made sense. My goal throughout these episodes is really just to pull back the curtain. I mean, I'm not obviously in Tampa. I'm in Arizona. This is where my house is. But if you guys can understand that the numbers I'm running and everything hopefully make sense, it's from a true investor standpoint. There, and what I said at the end with that agent, there was nothing disrespectful. There was nothing that was crossing a line. What I was doing was called setting expectations. I talked about patience and education. Patience was mirroring and trying to make sure she understands that I'm here and I'm helping her and whatever she needs, I'm a resource. Now, as for the education, Deborah, here's why the numbers are what they are. You're not going to allow an inspection period. You think somebody's going to come in and offer you close to list? Either the seller is going to be better off going and taking that property and building on it like they said they will, which most people say they will and they're not. It's the same thing like an agent saying that, if I got it at this price, I'd buy it myself. Do it. If you had the ability to waive commission in your listing appointment and just buy the property direct, why wouldn't you? It's because it wasn't actually an option on the table. So the seller's probably not going to go build on that. There's all these problems. They're not going to go and handle that unless they're emotionally tied to the property. So in return, that means creative finance or they're going to take my lowball offer. Those are the only two solutions on the table. What did we start with at the beginning of this episode? Talking about where the opportunity is. And right now it will always, I think foundationally, it'll always be on the MLS and with agents. But then if you look at what strategically could be the most profitable and win-win-win situation across the board, creative finance actually is a very good strategy. So appreciate that. I will go through some of the comments here. I've been seeing them flood in. Guys, seriously, thank you from the bottom of my heart for just all this engagement interaction. What I've been trying to push inside of the community of real estate just as a whole is the collaboration side. If you guys haven't seen our Discord, we renovated it. So we have a send deals tab. You get offers same day, non-refundable earnest money. Same thing I'm doing here. We have a live chat room that goes in all day long, messages back and forth. We have Patrick Conley going and doing trainings for free every morning, cold calling agents, submitting offers, using a CRM and doing his thing. Aside from that, we also have a forum. So if you guys have topics, if you're looking for buyers, there's people inside of our forum, our discussion forum that say, hey, I'm looking for this, and this. So if you're looking for buyers, it's there. If you're looking for agents, it's there. If you have questions that need to be answered, you could post it. My team will get back to you ASAP. agentinvestors.com/Discord. Links also in my bio, but we are changing the game. It's all free. We have resources and paid stuff, yes. But if you notice how much I'm trying to go above and beyond inside of stuff like this, from all the different shows I'm doing, I'm trying just to make sure you guys understand how much I care. This is us trying to go the extra mile and make sure that there's no one left behind. It's not no student left behind. It's no community member left behind. So if you're here, you're active, you're showing up, you're engaging, it's inevitable that you will succeed. You're in our proximity. You're in our world. You're doing what we're telling you to do. We have 97 people here watching us right now across all of our platforms. That's 100 people that are out there taking action and making this a priority on a Wednesday afternoon. So you're already doing more than what most people won't, which is showing up. The next piece is the action. You hear consistency, blah, 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 blah. Great. Intention is important for sure, but direction is better. So if you have intention behind what you're doing and you're consistent with that, awesome. But if you have consistent directional intent, now we start making the magic happen. Now you have that person that's almost like that. It's like me in your ear telling you what to do all day long. Someone in here said, oh, Ryan, I need your brain. No, you don't. You need to be the best version of you, Jay. Ryan needs to be the best version of Ryan. Jay needs to be the best version of Jay. Jay can take a variation of what Ryan's done and learn lessons from it, take experiences, use me as a reference, send deals to me, collaborate, whatever it is you need. But that's what you need. You need to be able to go and understand you're playing your own game here. What you need is just consistent, directional intent. That's it. So got some questions here. Lamore, if you don't go for pendings while it's pending, you wait to see if the deal falls. Yeah, I mean, that's the long game. If it falls through, they bring it back to me because I hopefully set good enough intention and rapport with her. But all that said, I don't lose sleep. Those are my watch list. I get to them when I get to them. If they come back to me, it's like that whole, I set it free. If it comes back, it was meant to be. So let's go, Jason. Let's go. Abraham, you got to get good with numbers. This is all just based off the market you're in and just trying to, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Basically, just got to go talk to contractors, talk to buyers, figure out what numbers they're saying, reverse engineer it from there. Insightful. Appreciate you. Love it. There was one comment up here I wanted to say thank you to and give a huge shout out. Bye, John. Ryan, we appreciate you. Because of you, I got back in the game. 16K and 2 on-market deals last week, bro. You are awesome. I appreciate you did that. So I hopefully opened up your eyes and your vision and gave you a path to follow, but you did that work. Make sure to reward yourself, pat yourself on the back. That's what this is all about. So I appreciate you guys. There's a bunch of questions. Bring them to my Discord, agentinvestors.com/Discord. I will see you guys in there. And then if you guys are a Diamond student, I'll see you in a couple hours. Hope you guys have a great day. See you guys next week. Peace out.